Today's episode is brought to you by Musical Theater Radio's merch store. Looking for that perfect gift for someone or just want to treat yourself to some great musical theater themed merch? Head to musicaltheaterradio.com and click on the All Things Theater button on the homepage and check out all the different designs available. And now, today's interview. Welcome back to another episode of Be Our Guest here on Musical Theater Radio. I am your host, as always, Jean-Paul Jovanoff. Today is another Discover a New Musical edition, where you, the listener, and me, the host, get to learn about a new show together. Oh man, I forgot to put in the name of the show. Star Machine. Sorry about this.
No worries.
All right, I gotta just take that back. 3, 2, 1. Today is another Discover a New Musical edition where you, the listener, and me, the host, get to learn about a new show together. Star Machine, a new musical, sees Jazz and Nikki, who are a talented sister act, striving to break into the LA music scene in the summer of 2002. Jazz craves stardom no matter the cost, but Nikki insists that creative control comes first, even if that means no one hears their music. When Jazz lands on a ridiculous TV talent show, this conflict threatens to tear them apart. Today, to tell us a little bit more about the show, are its composers and lyricists, Hank Temple and Gideon Temple. Hello, guys. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having us.
Awesome. Now, before we get into talking about the show, we got to get to know you two a little bit better. So I always ask for a 30-second bio. So, Hank, we're going to start with you. Who is Hank in 30 seconds?
Hank is Gideon's brother, probably first and foremost, but a writer, composer, mandolin player occasionally, and just, me, I guess.
And Gideon, 30 seconds. Who are you?
Yeah, I'm a composer, I'm a music director, and a filmmaker. Currently working at Goodspeed Musicals, and just love to work on projects with my brother and our family, and it's always crazy but always super fun. So that's a little about me.
Nice. Now, when you two were growing up, were you always into musicals when you were younger, or is that something you discovered a little bit later in life?
Yeah, I did my first show when I was 9 years old, and I kind of remember going into the audition and not really understanding but my parents kind of saw a little bit of a performative streak in me, I think. So they put me in a show, and I just fell in love with it immediately. And I think it was a couple years later where Gideon kind of got more into it, and we started writing a little bit
Yeah, I
more.
remember Hank was doing theater a little before me. I was like a sports kid,
Oh yeah.
and just funny. And I remember one day, Mom and I were picking up Hank from rehearsal, and I remember him putting on Hamilton for me. This was like right when Hamilton came out, and I was like, "What is this?" And immediately I was like, "I'm not doing this sports stuff anymore." And we were like, just wanted to know everything about theater and musicals, and especially, how they get made. I think we were always interested in that
Yeah,
kind of side of
for
it,
sure. We're
the creation.
we're a bit obsessive, so and controlling. So we want to build the world.
I'm always curious, in an alternate universe, if you hadn't gone into musical theater and theater, was there a different career you might have gone into, Hank?
I guess for me, oh well, I always have this kind of lackadaisical dream. If I did not feel like the urge to just like give my whole heart to music and theater and everything, I always dreamed of being like a ski lift operator. Just like living on a mountain somewhere, like on a ski mountain somewhere, and just like I guess kind of scanning people and occasionally telling them to like slow down and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah,
What
our
about
family
you?
loves to
We
ski,
love skiing,
so
yeah.
What
um,
about yourself?
yeah, it's funny that he says that because Hank is an amazing chef and he cooks all the time. I never cook anything. Hank makes everything
Yeah.
for us. And so we always say, but he doesn't love eating breakfast. So I
Oh,
always
right.
say if we were going to do something other than musical theater, I would have us make a restaurant that was called Not a Breakfast Guy. And Hank would be the chef and I would be the host, and we would just do that.
Food.
So if this
Nice.
whole thing doesn't work out.
Hey, yeah. Alternate
So
career.
in an alternate universe, I'm eating some breakfast in your restaurant somewhere.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. It's like breakfast food at other times of the day. I still like breakfast food, just not at breakfast time, I guess.
I literally was thinking about having breakfast for dinner, so thank you for making
Oh,
There you
inspired
go.
me.
yeah.
That's gonna do that. Well, my next question usually when there's people working together is how did these two parallel lines of your lives cross? But I kind of know how the two of you met. But so let's talk about your writing styles. How does your writing styles work? Is it who works on what?
Yeah, I mean, I think since we started writing and we started, I think our first song we wrote, I was maybe 11 or 12, Gideon was 13 or 14. I think that we both like doing everything, which is kind of an answer I think people are surprised a little bit by sometimes, but it's not one of us doing the lyrics, not one of us doing the music. We kind of do everything together. Yeah, what would you
Yeah, I
say?
think too, Hank is an amazing guitar player, and I've always played piano, and
Gideon's a
so we've
great
kind of
pianist.
both always just had instruments in our hands when we were writing. And early on it was just always about collaborating and throwing ideas off of each other.
Hmm.
Especially we write a lot of pop stuff too and have our own bands and kind of do that thing as well as this musical theater
Yeah.
stuff. So, kind of in that world, that's usually how we work. But I know with the musicals, especially of late, everything has been so focused on concept and story before we get
Right.
to the writing of the music or the
Yeah,
lyrics.
we will spend, we want to spend months on the story before we even touch the piano or the guitar. And, and occasionally we have ideas and run
Mhm.
out of the room when we're talking about characters and stuff and like go write down a little melody,
Yeah.
that just like comes up. But no, we're story driven kind of composers,
Yeah,
and
we want the
that's the
songs to
goal.
bloom out of the story. That's happening.
Well, let's talk about the story. Tell us about Star Machine. Tell us the plot. I gave a little bit, but tell us a little bit more. And what was the impetus for writing it in the first place?
Yeah,
Yeah.
take it.
So Star Machine is a story about family and music and creativity and kind of about us.
Yeah.
You might read between the lines there. But it follows these two sisters who are kind of grinding it out in LA in the music scene. And one of them ends up on this TV talent show that we can't call American Idol, but maybe somebody can read between the lines there. And we love American Idol too, and we love all the TV talent shows and the ridiculousness of them, and kind of their struggle of going back and forth of being like, no, the music comes first. I have to have my creative control over everything that we do, and then but I do want to be heard as an artist. And I think it's something that everybody can kind of relate to, that duality of wanting success and on the highest level possible, but also wanting to remain true to their artistic self.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think too, we kind of plot wise, move Jazz and Nikki through this story and constantly have them at odds at each other, these sisters, not unlike how we often are creatively at odds with each other. But they're trying to figure out really who they are as artists and what kind of music they want to make and kind of who their audience is. And by the end of the story, Jazz is kind of faced with this decision, do I stick with my sister and do what we've been doing, or do I, try to do something more? And that's really the conflict of the entire show.
Yeah. And kind of as to like how we got started on writing the show, we this show has kind of been in development for I guess about six
Six,
or
6 years
seven
now.
years
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
And it started off just as this kind of basic idea of art versus commerce, like this kind of theme. Um, and then we kind of had the American, well, not the American, but the TV
TV
talent
show.
show idea along the way, and that has kind of spun us out for the plot. And there's been a lot of rewriting since the beginning of
Yeah,
these years we've been working on it.
we're
But
currently reworking it here because
yeah,
we actually wrote the show with our parents too.
yeah,
So our parents, they
that's the
are
important thing.
they're screenwriters, and so they this has been a whole family project
Project.
for us, and so they've written the book and we write the music and the lyrics, and it's just been this wonderful familial collaboration. Yeah.
So my question is, who's closer to Jazz and who's closer to Nikki for the two of you? You've got obviously you're going to be asked this, but what is it?
I
What do
guess
you think?
we've been, I mean, I think first and foremost, these characters are a mix of they're kind of represent two different ideas. So it's not like any person is just all the way Jazz or all the way Nikki. But I mean, I guess Jazz is younger. So Jazz has some of my favorite songs in the show. So I like to think maybe I'm a little bit more Jazz. She's a little more obstinate too, a little bit more whatever.
I
So
think
that kind of
Hank
relates to me
likes
as
to
well.
think that he's the star of the show in
Oh,
our collaboration, so he picks himself as the star of the show in the within the show as well. But no, I would agree with that, and I'm a little more stubborn sometimes, like Nikki is. So I think that's probably our dynamic.
yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the production history. So I think you said you started about 7 years ago. Tell us, from the beginning of the concept up till now, where you've taken it.
Yeah. So kind of to start off, we just spent the first couple of years really just developing the characters, the story, what we wanted to do. We had an early draft that was like completely different than the show that we've arrived at kind of now and the story that we love now with these two sisters. Um, and around and we did some demos with that. We worked on that, but we did a major rewrite in the summer of 2022, kind of going into my freshman year at Baldwin Wallace Conservatory of Performing Arts in Cleveland, Ohio. And the whole family took the entire summer. And what we would do is every day we'd get up, we'd go to our family writers room, and we'd work for 4 or 5 hours a day on the project. So we kind of just started with that. And since then at BW, I'll let Gideon talk a little bit more about the history of BW.
Yeah, yeah. So we both go to Baldwin Wallace, which has been just like an amazing kind of testing grounds for the show. We've Hank joined as you said, Hank started attending in the fall of 2022. So we were rewriting and creating kind of the show that we have now in that summer of 2022. And then once we got to the fall, we did our first workshop. And so we had, friends of ours who were
Mhm.
students in the musical theater program there, just voluntarily would come and we would have rehearsals and just work out things and hear the songs for the first time, not in our voices, which was
Totally.
so nice to hear.
Yeah, it was good for everyone.
Yeah, it was great to hear that. And so we did a workshop in fall of 2022, did some more rewrites, and did a couple more workshops throughout the rest of that spring.
Yes.
And then in 2024, and this past April, we kind of geared everything up for this concert production. So we had huge support after our early workshops from the faculty and administration within the conservatory. And they, kind of pushed us to do, it wasn't a full production, but it was, they were
Fully
at,
staged
yeah, it was a fully
concert
staged
with
concert.
an eight-piece band on stage, 15 actors, a
Mhm,
good production team, and we got a film of that production, and
mhm.
we've just kind of been working it ever since.
Yeah.
Kind of other sources of development. We were semi-finalists for the Eugene O'Neill musical theater conference in 2021, I
Yeah.
think, in a
Yeah.
really early draft of the show.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah,
The Northwestern program. I mean, we've had some things kind of moving along, but really working at BW has been just such a source of joy and collaboration for us. I think that's been our favorite part of the whole process has been getting into
mhm.
these rooms with these students who are just eager to work on it with us and develop it. And I love, we've always loved when they throw out the ideas that
Yeah,
we were never even thinking of, and they're like, "Oh, we should try this, we should try that."
yeah, this
Um,
harmony, this
and
line.
yeah, and it was just so great to have it all culminate into, the concert production this past April.
I'm always curious when you're writing songs, was there one that was just so easy for you that just flowed out of you, took no effort, and then was there another that just drove you insane?
Oh,
But it was just so hard and you couldn't figure out what you were going to do with it. Obviously, you eventually did, but I'd love to hear a little bit about either of those songs, both of them.
yeah. I guess
I know the
for the
ones that
easy
were
one,
hard.
for the easy one, that feels like none of them. Because we are pretty hard on ourselves in terms of rewriting. I mean, I think like, the job of the writer is to just keep rewriting and keep rewriting. But
Yeah.
no, did any just flow out easy? What do
I
you
mean,
think?
I think I know the hard ones. I feel
Yeah.
like the opening number was definitely one that took a
Yes.
lot of work for us, and because we kind of wanted it to explore, where Jazz and Nikki were in the LA music scene and kind of show them kind of the ups and downs of their journey as artists and where they were with that. And,
Mhm.
you know, it a lot of brutal rejections and things like that. We wanted to get all these kind of little moments of just beating them down
Yeah,
so
just
that
kind of their world that they're living in,
yeah,
of
absolutely.
rejection and grinding and trying so hard to get a gig to only have five people show up and whatever. And I'll put that into a
Yeah.
4.5 minute opening
Yeah.
number
I think that was the hardest part was trying to fit it all
to condense it
in
down.
that small space. But I think there were some that came a little easier. I think the I Want song, well, we've revised it a lot.
Yeah.
Red Lights, which is the one that we've released
Mhm.
on streaming, that we put together the whole
Yeah, that was the
demo.
first song we actually wrote for the
Yeah, it was the
show.
first song. Yeah.
And I remember we kind of banged out the a version not dissimilar to what it is now in
Yeah, it
about
was a
two
long time
days.
ago.
And
Yeah.
yeah, just kind of working it
Reworked it
out.
from there. But
Hmm.
I think that song probably came a little easier because we knew kind of exactly where
Hmm.
we've always, I think, known what Jazz wanted, right? And she wants kind of this big life in the industry and wants,
Hmm.
kind of recognition for her work. And so I think that one always came a little easier
Yeah.
because we knew exactly where we wanted to go with it.
Nice. Well, and if there's a producer listening, just happen to be listening, what kind of numbers are you looking at for people and music style and that sort of thing? Just if you were doing a quick pitch.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, I think the cast is it's about a mid-sized cast. I would say,
Hmm.
12 to
14.
14
Yeah.
kind of actors is a very suitable amount. Um, in terms of the music, we come from like the pop rock idiom and we try to stay super true to that while, embracing our contemporary musical theater vibes. So I think the band is, just kind of normal rock band style and, maybe a string doubler and a reed doubler as well. What would you say about that?
Yeah, yeah, I think too, the show is set in the early 2000s. So we've also kind of taken some influence from our favorite,
Hmm.
Maroon 5 and even as far as like Britney Spears too.
Yeah.
We've taken influence from like all those kind of artists as well, while kind of staying in that pop rock idiom. But yeah, I think, also our show is a comedy and it's very much,
Right.
intended to we're talking about all the things that it
Yeah,
hopefully
right.
makes people think about, in terms of artistry and commerce and making those decisions. But at its heart, it's a comedy
We're
that,
trying to be funny.
explores the entertainment industry and all its quirks, and so, I think shows like Something Rotten and,
Yeah.
like kind of are good comparisons for kind of what we're trying to do
Yeah,
here.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Nice. So if people want to know more about yourselves and the show, is their website, the socials, all that fun stuff to get to know you better.
Yeah, yeah. We have a website for the show, which is starmachinethemusical.com. And we also have our own website called templebrothersmusic.com. And we also, do a lot of solo music on our own
Yeah.
that we put up there and lots of different singles and projects. And it
Yeah, for
looks like we're going
sure.
to be putting together an album pretty soon as
Yeah,
well.
right. I'm working on that.
So, you can check us out there. We're also on Instagram and Facebook. And if you want to check out music from the show, we've released a lot of stuff on YouTube as well,
Yes.
and gotten some, some
If you go
buzz going
on
there.
Temple Brothers
Yeah,
Music, if you look that up on YouTube, you'll
yeah,
find
you'll
our
see it.
channel and
And we've posted a lot of clips and whatnot from the concert production that we did in
Yeah,
April.
the film
And have had some really fun feedback from people watching it. And we had a video hit like 200K or something. So we've had some a really fun time getting to share that with the world. So I think those are probably the best places,
Yeah.
and we're all over Instagram too, and always trying to keep up with kind of
Yeah,
the
I think
social
it's
media
Star
age.
Machine
Yeah, Star Machine
musical.
musical.
That's it.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Awesome. Well, no doubt you're busy with this, obviously, but is there anything else you were working on that you wanted to promote and let people know about?
Yeah, we're always working on a couple things. Right now we're actually we make films as well. We've
Hmm.
shot 8 music videos and made 4 short films, and we're currently writing a screenplay right now. That's Untitled Tom Brothers screenplay. Oh, we're working on the title. But it kind of follows these 2 high school best friends who go on like a cross-country journey to become YouTube stars, to become vloggers. And so it's a comedy. It's our first feature film that we're working on, and so we're kind of working on getting that into production in the next year or so. And we've been
Yeah.
working on that
I think
screenplay for a long time now.
yeah, we're really interested in, these themes of like fame and how it affects relationships and things like that. 'Cause,
Also,
yeah,
really weird sects of the entertainment industry, like TV talent shows and,
Yeah.
YouTube
vlogging,
and
yeah.
vlogging and yeah.
So we're working on that one really hard, and then we have a new musical project that we're working on as
Mhm.
well. That we've just started kind of scratching the surface with, and it's called Popular Vote, and
Oh,
it's
right.
basically a musical about a high school election that kind of mimics some of our current elections and political current events that are
Yes.
happening, but in this high school world. So kind of satirical and making fun of everything that's going on
And
currently. So we're working on that, and then we also in the future we're hoping to work on a new play.
yeah, we're also we got a bunch of ideas kind of in the blood right now, but we're working on this new play about Clara Schumann, who was a romantic composer. And she was a great pianist, and she kind of lived this insane life where she crossed paths with all of these unbelievably famous composers in the Romantic period, and she's incredible, and her story is kind of coming out right now.
Yeah,
So
her story is insane, and again, it's another kind of family and then music and how that intersects, and so that's just so
yeah,
much of our lives
and
has been about that.
our plan is kind of we want to do a play with music for that, and we're kind of hoping our dream for that show is to play her music, use her and her contemporaries' music, and have an orchestra up on stage that the actors can kind of join and play along with and conduct and do all sorts of things like that. So that's kind of what
Yeah,
we're throwing
a
around right
few
now. A few
things we
things.
got
So
going
we're
on.
gonna-
That's awesome. Well, congratulations to the both of you on, everything that you've got going, but especially right now, Star Machine. That's great. We play the song that you released, so that can be heard on our station. So hopefully everybody will listen to it and go, ooh, and then check out what you guys got going on. So that's awesome. I'm so happy to meet the two of you. Congratulations.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so much
much for
for,
having
yeah,
us.
it's been
Yeah.
so great.
Awesome. All right. So we were just speaking with Hank and Gideon Temple, the creators, the composers, and the lyricists of the musical Star Machine. Make sure to check them out and the show and watch where that's going because we love supporting new works around the station because today's new shows could be tomorrow's classics and you never know. All right. So tune in next week as we speak with another guest or guest about their life, love, and passion that is musical theater. I am your host, as always, Jean Paul Jovanoff. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.